Justin was my best friend, the kind of person who felt like home no matter where we were. He was the boy who walked me to school, the man who sat beside me when I cried over heartbreaks, the one who knew every corner of my soul without me ever needing to explain. I never doubted him, never questioned his place in my life. I thought he would always be there. Until the night he wasn't. It happened suddenly. One moment we were leaving a party together, laughing about something stupid. The next, chaos erupted. I heard shouting, saw the blur of fists, and the glint of something sharp in the shadows. Before I could process it, Justin had thrown himself between me and the man lunging forward. I fell back, his body collapsing over mine. And then there was silence, except for the rain tapping against the pavement. Blood seeped through his shirt, warm against my skin, and his eyes looked at me with something I didn't understand until it was too late. "You'll be okay," he whispered. That was the last thing he ever said. In the days that followed, I lived in a haze of grief. The police said Justin had been in the wrong place at the wrong time, that it was a fight gone wrong, a senseless tragedy. I believed them because it was easier than questioning. I buried him, standing in black beside his family, tears blurring the sight of his coffin lowering into the earth. I thought I had lost my anchor, my protector, but I never knew the truth. Justin hadn't died by accident. He had died because he had been protecting me. Time dulled the sharpness of the grief, but the emptiness stayed. I kept moving forward because that was what people said you had to do. And then there was Daniel. He was unexpected, a quiet, brooding man who seemed to carry his own shadows. He was patient with me, never pushing too hard. And slowly, I let him into my life. Against all odds, I married him, believing that maybe love could grow where grief had once lived. For years, I convinced myself I was happy. Daniel was kind in his own way, protective and loyal, though sometimes there was a heaviness in his eyes I couldn't quite understand. I talked it up to his past, to things he never spoke of. He never mentioned Justin, and I never pressed him. Some wounds felt sacred, even unspoken. But secrets have a way of finding the light. It was nearly 10 years after Justin's death when the truth began to unravel. I was cleaning out the attic when I found an old box, one I didn't remember packing. Inside were fragments of the past, photos, notes, little mementos Justin had given me. Buried beneath them was something I didn't recognize. A letter, creased and worn. My hands shook as I unfolded it. It was addressed to me in Justin's handwriting, but it had never been given. "Myra, if you're reading this, it means I couldn't tell you the truth myself. There are people who want to hurt you. I've kept it from you because I didn't want you to live in fear, but you need to know that I'll do whatever it takes to protect you. If something happens to me, promise me you'll keep living. You deserve a life full of love, even if it's not with me." I felt my chest tighten as the words blurred in my tears. He had known. He had been protecting me all along. My grief resurfaced in a tidal wave sharper than it had ever been, because now I realized that Justin hadn't just died for me, he had chosen to die for me. But the worst was still to come. That night, I confronted Daniel about the letter. At first, he was calm, dismissive, but when I pressed him, when I demanded answers, his facade cracked. His face twisted with something I had never seen before. Remorse. And then the words fell from his lips like stones. It was me. I couldn't breathe. He confessed haltingly, painfully, that he had been there that night. He had been the one who came after me, driven by a darkness he had long since buried. Justin had stepped in, shielding me, taking the blow that was meant for me. He was a different man then, Daniel said, his voice breaking. I was lost, angry, consumed by things I couldn't control. But I changed, Myra. I changed because of you. But nothing he said could wash away the horror, the betrayal, the sickening realization that I had spent years loving, trusting, and even marrying the man who killed my best friend. The same man whose crime had ripped Justin from my life and left me in pieces. I stared at him, seeing not the husband I had built a life with, but the shadow of the man who took Justin's future. Rage burned in me, but it was grief that steadied my voice. You don't get to justify this. You don't get to tell me you changed when the foundation of our marriage was built on his blood. For days afterwards, I lived in silence, replaying every moment of my marriage, every smile, every tender gesture, now tainted with the truth. I thought of Justin's letter, his wish for me to live and love freely, and wondered what he would think of the choices I had made. Would he forgive me for loving the man who killed him, or would he have told me to walk away long ago? The decision came quietly but firmly. I couldn't stay. My love for Daniel, whatever it had once been, was hollow now, overshadowed by the enormity of what he had done. I left him, walking out with nothing but the weight of my grief and the memory of Justin's sacrifice. The papers were signed, the marriage ended, but the scars remained. Years later, I still feel Justin beside me sometimes, in the way the wind shifts when I walk alone, in the flicker of light through the trees, in the quiet moments when I almost hear his laughter again. I never remarried. Not because I didn't believe in love, but because a part of me was buried with him that night. He had died for me, given me a chance to live, but I carried the cost of that gift every single day. Daniel disappeared from my life after the divorce. I heard rumors he moved away, started over somewhere new, but I never cared to know the details. I couldn't forgive him. Not truly, no matter how much he claimed he had changed. Some sins were carved too deep into the soul to ever be erased. And me, I lived on just as Justin had asked me to in his letter. But I lived with the knowledge that the greatest love I never confessed, the truest bond I ever had, ended in blood on a rainy night. My best friend had died for me, and I had spent years loving the man who stole him away. That contradiction haunted me, shaped me, and in some strange way, made me stronger. Justin had once written that I deserved a life full of love. Maybe one day I'll find it again. But until then, I carry his memory with me. Not as a wound anymore, but as a promise. A promise to live, even when it hurts. A promise to never forget that sometimes love isn't about the words unspoken or the chances never taken. Sometimes love is about sacrifice. And Justin's love, though silent and secret, was the kind of love that said, I will die for you.